welcome to Conversations with the Quick Flick Critic. My name is John Smistad. What do we do on the show? We talk to amazingly creative, independent people in the world of entertainment, spanning that entire field. As always, I invite you to listen, learn, laugh. Today's guest is Scott Edward Smith. Scott is a screenwriter, dramatist, author, producer. He pretty much does it all and has done a lot. His latest project is called Intimate Fame. There's a lot going on with this production, and it's really cool. Scott, first of all, welcome to Conversations with the Quick Flick Critic. We are thrilled to have you.
Thank you very much. I'm really happy to be here, and I really appreciate you pulling me out of the writer's cave that we sometimes live in and go like, oh, there's a world that we actually write for. And we sometimes forget to go out into it. So this is, I appreciate this. Thanks so much.
Oh, I'm thrilled to do it. And like I say, I'm all about independent creative artists. And wow, you are one extraordinaire. We're going to start with the basics. You're a writer. I think you would call yourself that. Obviously, a published author is included in that description. When did you first get turned on to writing? When did you decide, I want to commit my damn life to this? And how did it kind of develop to where you are now, where you are, as my dad would say, a relatively successful fellow in your chosen endeavor?
I think I was fortunate in that I didn't see it coming. Yeah. And so I was eased into it. I knew I'd be in theater. That's all I knew. And I went to university for that. I knew that's where I was going to go. And not on the performing side of it, but stage management, directing, design, all of that stuff. And that's what, and I worked Broadway that way, national tours and stuff. And under weird circumstances, I ended up with Dino De Laurentiis, which was called DEG at the time, just simply because someone was moving up in a job. I got to be story editor. I obviously knew a lot about story. I knew a lot about plays. I'd adapted some stuff into plays, and certainly worked with a lot of playwriters. This was Blue Velvet, Crimes of the Heart, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Oh, wow. I mean, there was some really cool stuff going on. Yeah. And in those days, it was ruthless. I mean, we had probably 4 or 5 executives that in development, and scripts came in on Friday, and on Monday morning, the bidding war happened. And even if you didn't know what you were going to do with it, the studio had to buy it. Yeah. Because they didn't want anyone else to get it. It was just a frenzy. So everyone was being sent home with like 12 scripts and 4 books, and it was just a nightmare. But for me, as being thrown as a story editor, it was a great learning experience. Out of that, I just started thinking like, maybe I should try my hand at this. I could possibly be good. Trust me, I read a lot of bad stuff and went like, I could write this a lot better. Yeah. And then I read stuff that like, I will never come close to this. Yeah. But I did. And it was a curving point because DEG just fell apart. Financially, it wasn't working. There was the number of good movies as opposed to the number of bad movies just set it off. And the ironic and very sad thing is with Bill and Ted was actually the death knell because great movie. And they had to sell it to just pay off the debts and close down DEG. Whoa. If they had hung on to it, DEG probably would still be around. It was like that, because that movie ended up making, even though Blue Velvet and Crimes of the Heart and a couple of these others were really great, the Killers, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies and stuff, and when I say bad movies, I'm not talking about structural or anything. I'm talking like they didn't make money. That's a problem. That's a bad movie. It gave me the opportunity to write since I thought I knew what I was doing. And I got picked up on 21 Jump Street.
Wow.
Like the series, not the movie. Now I have dated myself completely.
No,
But
I-
yeah, so that's
yeah.
how I got into writing.
Yep.
I did something that I would not recommend anybody ever doing, but it totally changed my career. When I was a story editor, I had material brought to me. It was a book by Richard Ford, who is an amazing American novelist. It's called Wildlife. And Richard and his Hollywood agent had been shopping this book for like 6 months, and he had already won like every major writing award in the world. He wasn't particularly known as a screenwriter, or his books were being adapted, but he was a presence. I just kept going into the executives that I worked for, going like, "This is a movie, and it's cheap. It's like, this is a star quality piece of work." 4 days. I took the book, made it 120 pages, gave it to my agent. I didn't know my agent was going to turn around and give it to the producer of Gina Davis's deal at 20th Century Fox.
Oh, that never happens in Hollywood.
So,
double crosses. I'm sorry, man.
This was right after Thelma and Louise. So she had a deal at Fox, and
Red hot. Yeah.
and they called and said, "Gina's really interested in this project." And then immediately I got a call from CAA going like, "What are you doing? This is yours. I'm not trying to sell it. I'm not doing anything with it. I'm just making a point. You guys have had this script shopping for 6 months.
Good for you.
No one's paying attention to it. And I'll tell you why they're not paying attention to it. It's because it's a book and it's not 120 pages. 20th Century Fox wants to talk the deal. Go make the deal. Wow. I don't have to have any part of it." So they were like, "Okay." They walked away from me. Gina did not decide to do it. She decided to do a pirate movie instead.
I remember that.
But weirdly enough, here we are, I think maybe 2-3 years ago, Jake Gyllenhaal's company made it. Carey Mulligan plays the Gina Davis role, and Jake plays what would have been Alec Baldwin's role when he was in his early 30s. So the movie's there. It took like 20 plus years for them to make it. Anyway, I just want to make it pretty clear, I do not recommend taking other people's work and just turning it into a screenplay. As a story editor, I saw what got read and what doesn't get read. Books are tough. So if it's in screenplay form, it's good. Yeah. And that, just to wrap this up really quickly, is like, that's what happened. So CAA, after kind of coming at me hard, like, "You're in trouble, dude," they came back and said, "We have a bunch of other books that really turned into screenplays." And I got started being paid to adapt books into screenplays, whether they ever got made into movies or not. So that's the beginning of my writing career, and now it's a career.
It's never a direct trail, is it? There's offshoots, and there's like, how did this even lead to this? How did this happen? Yeah,
I think so. I think if I had, if I had woken up when I was 8 or 9 years old and went, "I want to be a writer," the pain and the drama, the angst would probably have been a lot more. But because I came into the business knowing, like, as I call it, gun for hire, it was just that. It wasn't personal. It was just like, it's 500 pages. It needs to be 120. Let's do it. It was a job. And that part of it stuck with me to this day when I write, that it's, people are going to like your stuff. People aren't going to like your stuff. Now I write with more imagery, with more like, this is the way it should be. But it was because I had all these other experiences in my life, it wasn't like, okay. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm getting paid nicely to do this stuff. And a lot of times it's getting paid, it's ghostwriting. We're going to pay you. You're never going to see your name anywhere on this. And that was like, I'm fine with that.
As long as I see it on the check, I'm cool. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. So yeah, there was the business side of it, which is
Yeah.
as long as you don't feel emotionally crushed by it, which I never did.
All right, we got to talk about Intimate Fame. This is your latest project. Sounds very cool. 10 audio drama series. Within its first year, we're going to immerse ourselves as an audience into the intimate lives of some of the most interesting and influential people of all time. That's from the press kit. Intimate Fame. What are we in for here? It sounds intriguing. It sounds different, and it sounds like you want this to be different from what one may imagine, Scott.
Yeah, I do. It sort of evolved out of I was writing one-person shows for theater, and generally sometimes for a specific actor that had the billing level to produce something. I knew a writer, William Liu. Bill wrote Belle of Amherst for Julie Harris. He wrote Barrymore for Christopher Plummer. It was kind of his catch. That's what Bill did. Is that was his market, was his thing. He was a mentor. I'm not going to say he wasn't. He definitely was. But our friendship was just kind of like, it was like I knew a famous playwright, and that was nice to know. And then it just started sinking in, and I realized he was basically telling me, you should do this. Yeah. You should focus your writing on characters that are world known. So that's how it happened. And the first one was That Woman, which is about Wallis Simpson, the Duchess of Windsor, who, before Diana and before Meghan, there was the woman who stole the king. Yeah. And nothing has changed. Those stories that happened to her, the royals are still doing it with Meghan, which is extraordinary. Yeah. But so that was, it was just a fascinating character. We went to Edinburgh for the Arts Festival, played there for a month, came back, and we thought like, okay, we'll do it in Los Angeles, we'll take it to New York, and then COVID. So, and in the midst of it, I was asked to write something for an actress who had won a Tony Award, Best Supporting. Now she's big film star, wanted to go back. And I suggested, so That Woman is the first one of the series. And then Marilyn Monroe, which is called The Last City, was the second one. So those were both written as plays. Okay. And now we're on to, I literally just finished James Dean, so I'll get to that in a second. But yeah. So during COVID, I honestly was doubting whether theater would ever come back. Turning them into audio dramas seemed like a good idea. As a writer, you have to realize there's no visual element of it. So you got to change the words. You got to make it, it actually forces more words out of you to be more specific and more direct, because you can't just turn it over to a director and cinematographer and be like, oh, it'll look great with the music and the shots are there. And
is this what
so we changed those two, yeah. We recorded them, and I just decided this is where the key unlocking the door that I didn't know I was doing. And I said, we should do one a month, and it should be a famous person. I have committed myself to writing 10 one-person shows, about 90 minutes each, about three to four episodes each, so they're about 20 minutes. And they stand alone as audio pieces, but they're clearly meant to be staged or filmed. That's the element of them. But that's the part of it that I thought I brought to it, as opposed to it just being like, talking about Marilyn or Wallace or James Dean or Burton and Taylor, who's coming up, or these things. It was like giving an audience that experience. This afternoon, I get on with my research guy and the books I have, and we are into Elizabeth Taylor and Burton,
Nice.
which will be a very different thing, because all of these have been just one person. And like with Wallace, you're at a cocktail party in her home a year after her husband has died, and with Marilyn Monroe, you're in the Bel Air Hotel at the last photo sitting she ever did. And
I read that. Wow.
And Burton and Taylor was going to be the first one where I'm basically writing two separate monologue 90-minute shows. One is Taylor, one is Burton, and the stories are the same. The issue is they don't even sound like the same stories, because I think this isn't like their third marriage where it's set. So they're, you're like, the story that's being told you, but it isn't at all like what you just heard from Taylor.
Around. Yeah.
So it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth for 6 episodes. So that's cool. Exciting to me. And I'm like, why did I do this? I have no idea. I just jumped off the cliff and said, let's write 2 at the same time. Let's see what comes up. So IntimateFame.com will give you all of the information, all of the background. I hope, I think you can, whatever podcast you're using, whether it's Spotify or any of them, iHeart, anything,
Roku,
you should be able to go to the search engine and just put in Intimate Fame, and all the shows that are available should pop up. If they don't, I would love to hear from somebody.
Well, I would imagine they will. Yeah, I can't imagine.
For the most part, the feedback I'm getting, people are getting it everywhere. We don't have a particular release date, but our intention is at least one a month. So Wallace Simpson's That Woman is out, and that's, I think, 3 episodes. Marilyn Monroe, which is called The Last Sitting, is 6 episodes. That is out and available. That's
gonna be huge. Yeah,
and
very cool.
James Dean will be available shortly before Thanksgiving, and hopefully, which will be fun. And then just to top that, let's put Burton and Taylor.
Christmas.
Such a great Christmas gift.
There you go.
Right before Christmas.
Absolutely.
So that's the plan. And then all of these are like famous people that we all know, but there is work going on. I'm going to do Alexander the Great. I'm going to do Mary, Queen of Scots.
Good.
There's some historical ones that are also in the planning in the new year to do, which I know will be a lot of fun, but very different kind of challenges to take on.
Cool. Scott Edward Smith, thank you so much for being on Conversations with a Quick Flick Critic. This has been a genuine pleasure.
It has for me too, sir. I much appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. We have been talking for the past several moments, ladies and gentlemen, with screenwriter, dramatist, author, producer Scott Edward Smith, his latest project, which, if you're not at least curious, it's not my job to sell Scott's properties, but I'm going to listen to it because I love radio entertainment, audio entertainment, as we call it now. And I'm definitely going to investigate Scott's latest project. It's called Intimate Fame. And please look for it on any platform that you download your streaming programming with, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, you know them all, Google Play. Again, that's Intimate Fame. And the creative force behind the production, series of productions, is Scott Edward Smith. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for this edition of Conversations with the Quick Flick Critic. I really appreciate you tuning in and watching. Watch on my YouTube channel because I'm constantly updating interviews with fascinating people like Scott. We have fun. And if we're not having fun, we're not going to do it. And subscribe. It's free. Please subscribe and you'll get the latest updates immediately when my new interviews are released. Before we go, I always have to thank Bruce Threlkeld, who plays all the music for my show. Just a master musician. Bruce, thanks for doing that for the show. You can find Bruce's work and his music on his YouTube page, which is The Gig Farmer. Go there and see what Bruce is doing music-wise. It's astounding. Until next time, as I always say, I wish nothing but good things for you. And as ever, listen, learn, laugh. Get some laughing today, and damn, does it feel good. Goodbye, everybody.